So it's been a long year so far with everything in 2020, and at long last we have reached the end of November. Now, with November coming to an end, there came the birth of an interesting trend that popped up on Twitter. Hashtag Whitevember, which was the process of making a character white. While this does sound bizarre and strange, let's see where this hashtag originates from. Any current thing requires an idea to be formed in order for it to be created, and Whitevember is no exception. This first came into fruition on October 4th, 2020, when Poe's Law tweets out, "Since Blacktober is happening, I can't wait for Whitevember." Now, for a little bit of context, Blacktober was October, but artists would make random characters that they liked black under the hashtag Blacktober. Personally, while I do find the concept of making non-black characters and making them black to be a bit corny slash cheesy, it personally doesn't really matter. The only real issue I have with recoloring is when a company decides to redesign a character for no apparent reason other than the sake of just changing them, whether it be making a black character white or vice versa. Like, just make them the same slash similar color that they were before. I don't see why they have to change. And the closest thing that I had to a problem with Blacktober is that they had the opportunity to promote current popular black characters slash make their own, but instead most artists just took characters and basically gave them blackface. And a good portion of that, from what I've seen, was just like Asian anime characters given blackface. I mean, some of the art was still pretty good though, even though it wasn't really original ideas, and I get that artists can draw whatever they want, so it wasn't really that big of a deal. At the time when I first saw this tweet, I didn't really pay any mind as I thought this was just another shitpost idea that would get lost quickly and be forgotten about. Little did I know how that would quickly change. The post quickly gained traction was a follow up tweet where he has the first usage of the hashtag Whitevember, followed up with a picture of White Cora shortly after, which generated some reactions to say the least, with a lot of them being controversial. People were getting mad, calling him a racist and whatnot, and feeding into the troll. After a while, this tag started to blow up and he even got trending on Twitter, so good on him for getting his shitpost idea to blow up. However, with this hashtag blowing up, it means that a wide variety of people are now aware of the idea. Some of these people, to put it lightly, did not like the idea and they were displeased with it. Let's take a look at some of these, shall we? Just note that for the video's time length, I am only going to talk about some of the more juicier responses. One of the first responses that I saw to this trend is from someone who talks about how it was trending and to mute the tag because it was obvious that they were baiting. While I was unable to find that tweet, I did find another tweet with a similar idea. Honestly, that response is not really much of a problem because, fair enough, if you don't like something, you can always mute and move on. This is the internet after all, and that's what those people did. So good on them for having one of the more reasonable takes for Whitevember and realizing that it's bait and not to take it. Other people, however, did not take it as well. One such person immediately responded to the Whitevember tweets by stating that Poe deserved to have bad things happen to them. Like, god damn, we started off early, as that was posted around the same time as the hashtag was first posted. Like, what did Poe ever do to you? Calm down, man. Then we got another tweet here with someone very angry at the hashtag, saying how they were blocking anyone doing Whitevember. Then, when they realized that it was started by a black man, they stated that they looked into it and were blocking anyone who was using it seriously and not as a joke. However, they blocked Poe, so what I can conclude from that is they thought he was being serious with his Whitevember tweets, despite saying that it was a joke. Before anyone says that even though he's black, he can still be racist towards other black people, and that makes him another name for a raccoon or an Uncle Tom, he himself has admitted that he only made Whitevember as a joke, and he doesn't even care about Blacktober. As a matter of fact, he even enjoyed some of the images from Blacktober, So the fact that he's acting like a performer for racists slash racist to blacks is a major stretch and simply not true. This is furthered with how he talks about how it was supposed to be a dumb joke. However, people got heated, and instead of recognizing it as cheap and obvious bait, they decided to spurg out, which only feeds the trend and makes it blow up even harder. Case in point, it got trending on Twitter. And to further the part where this is bait, he has a thread where he talks about inflaming people and getting them mad to this trend to make it blow up even harder. Add to the irony of people complaining about Whitevember by saying that the people using it are basically just privileged honky white males and man babies, while ignoring the fact that it was a joke started by a black man. And when they realize that, they double down and call him racist too, while ironically acting like man children themselves and being extremely privileged and whiny that a hashtag they don't like is popping up. Projection much? And while you can say that the joke isn't funny, which is fair enough, everyone's got a different sense of humor, it is simply a flat out lie and disingenuous to say that Poe is doing this to be racist slash cater to racists. He is doing it for shits and giggles, and everyone else's outrage only prompts this to rise even further. At this point, just mute the hashtag and move on like it doesn't exist is the best option. So, to continue on to the reactions, another one was telling Poe to go shine some shoes. That one is simply, what do I say? The fact that someone just told a black man to shine shoes, which speaks more about the racism of that guy than the guy who started a shitpost trend. Pretty problematic if you ask me, asking a black guy to shine some shoes. I am shocked at that. He was also displeased with the Whitevember trend because apparently Poe said whitewashing and blackwashing were equally bad, even though he never said that. I'm honestly surprised that man is even opposed to the Whitevember trend, considering what he just said earlier about shining shoes to a black man. The next reaction I have here is from someone who is not a happy camper, to put it lightly. Their tweet reads as follows: I am reposting because I forgot to turn off the comments so his ugly simps don't come into my mentions. This raccoon here, black man, is promoting Whitevember, which whitewashes POC characters. If this your moot and you're proud, go get help. Yeah, how dare the black man ever make a joke and shitpost on Twitter.com? You tell him, yeah, just call him a racial slur. You're really helping the situation here. You take a shitpost that someone makes and even admits to being a one off joke that shouldn't have blown up. However, due to the outrage that people got because they realized they just couldn't mute a hashtag, ignore it, and move on with their day, it blows up and garners attention. And judging by your profile picture, it's pretty obvious you're just mad that Poe is blacker than you. They also had a follow up post on what I assume is their Instagram, where they complain about harassment despite calling somebody else a racial slur, and complain about getting hate comments, naturally not giving proof to back up those claims. Yeah, I'm just gonna believe that you've gotten hate comments without a shred of evidence to back it up, while we have definitive proof of you calling someone else a slur. We also got some K-pop stan trying to stop the trend single-handedly with K-pop fan cams. The only thing that I have to say to this is that it's a K-pop stan. Enough said. There was also a subreddit made for Whitevember, but it got deleted. Now, I already partially addressed some of the claims made against Whitevember earlier, but I want to also address some of the other claims that people made for Whitevember. One claim is that Whitevember is a white movement, which is simply not true because it's not some sort of movement. It's just a joke that blew up. How do you even get from a joke to a meme to a fucking movement with little effort on the creator's part? He's still memeing about it, and while you can say that Whitevember is not really funny because, let's face it, it's not, it's just people making characters white. What is funny are the reactions and spurgery to it. And that's pretty funny, especially when you consider how these people are just shaming a black person because he thinks different, while they desperately try and brand people as racists with little proof over a joke which the creator admits himself to being bait. There's also the claim that Poe is catering to racists by putting on a show slash trying to provide hateful intent, which simply doesn't make any sense, as one of the purposes of Whitevember, aside from being a rage inflated joke, is to prove the double standard that people have when giving characters essentially blackface compared to whiteface, and how there's little reaction for one but massive outrage for the other. And while you can argue that there are more white characters, white people don't need more representation. The point of the Whitevember trend is to express that you should just let people draw whatever they want, and getting angry about it will only make people want to do it more. As for that hateful intent part, by that logic, any person who makes racial jokes is a racist regardless of the context. Honestly, this whole Whitevember thing just reminds me of when 4chan decided to troll Tumblr by making a Steven Universe fan page on there dedicated to making the Steven Universe characters white. And after Tumblr users predictably freaked out and sent various threats to the account owner posted a picture of some black guy wearing a wig with a statement that they were a black transgender and they only posted those edits to feel better about themselves and their body. Their response from Tumblr was to heavily backtrack and try and apologize for the terrible things they said. The only difference between then and now is that Whitevember is started by a black man, and people are just doubling down on racism accusations when that fact is revealed. Now, while I have been talking about Whitevember and all the outrage surrounding it, I haven't really been showing any pictures related to the trend and some of the other outrage surrounding it, so I will dedicate the remainder of the video to showing off some more submissions and some other responses that were not interesting enough to warrant their own discussion in the video while I wrap this video up. So to sum up, Whitevember was a trend started by a black man for shits and giggles, and due to people getting mad and falling for said bait, it blew up much more than he could ever hope for. The fact that people can look at the most obvious bait and still rage about it is pretty amazing, and perfectly encapsulates the perpetual rage that the average Twitter user goes through in order to be permanently offended about things. If you want to, you should give him a follow on his main account at UndeadScribe, as he's pretty entertaining. Alright, I'm out. See ya.
Oh,